Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about the possibility of a live action Dragon Ball movie and why it would make $1 billion in the box office, in my opinion. Because I always find it funny, like anytime, Dragon Ball fans, we start to talk about possibly a live action movie, we kind of back off of it. We say it can't be done, the material is too weird or anything like that. And I think they're wrong. I think compared to 2009 when Dragon Ball Evolution came out to compared to 2019, the way Hollywood has changed, the way box office numbers has changed, the way diversity, make sure there's diversity in Hollywood. I think even now is the best time for a Dragon Ball movie to start rolling. And I just want to point out there hasn't been any rumbling of rumors or anything of a Dragon Ball movie in the works. It's not being pitched or anything to my knowledge. But I do want to go over the video why I think, Dragon Ball, live action Dragon Ball movie could make $1 billion. Now, why would Dragon Ball make $1 billion in the box office, right? Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a Dragon Ball movie will be like 90% Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I do believe that it would have to be really good. At least, if I was to guess, right, at least to get 80s in the Rotten Tomatoes to make $1 billion. And I would say it wouldn't even be the first movie, right? Say if they're gonna make a trilogy, let's just think. Say if they're making a trilogy and it was a Namek saga. Now I'm not saying they should start off the Namek saga because that would be obviously a mistake. You're skipping over a lot of important material. But you're trying to tell me that the moment of Goku fighting Frieza and going Super Saiyan for the first time, if they built that up with a bunch of movies, would it make $1 billion in the box office? I think it would. I think it would be very hype. We gotta remember how popular Dragon Ball is. Dragon Ball has been around for 33 years and is still relevant and still probably the number one most popular anime / manga out there. I know One Piece has sold eventually more manga than Dragon Ball, but when it comes to mainstream success, One Piece doesn't touch anything that Dragon Ball does. Nothing touches anything that Dragon Ball does when it comes to manga and anime and mainstream success. So I think we need to take note of that. Dragon Ball has made $20 billion in revenue as of 2018, ranking it in the top 20 highest media franchises of all time. Dragon Ball is insanely popular, so I do think it has enough of the popularity to make $1 billion in the box office. And also, we gotta remember, these days a box office revenue is not determined on domestic like US or Canada. Now the foreign audience has become so big that Hollywood studios actually rely on them to make $1 billion. Like, say these days a movie domestically will make 300, possibly 400 domestically, 400 million domestically, and make 800 foreign. You look at Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home made 400 million domestically or something around those numbers. I'm not exact numbers, and it made 700 million in foreign to put it over the $1 billion box office numbers. Compared to these days, the box office foreign numbers are very important. That's why a lot of movies these days are actually hitting $1 billion. Not all of them, but a lot of movies that have enough popularity are making $1 billion because they're popular. They have a name brand all around the world, just how Dragon Ball has a name brand all around the world. Dragon Ball is just not popular in the US or just Japan. It is popular everywhere. It is mainstream everywhere. So we got to think about that when we talk about can Dragon Ball even be successful in the box office, because it can be successful in the box office because it's known popularity and it has its hands in everything. It has people from it could reach the market of from little kids all the way to grown adults have been watching Dragon Ball since they were little kids because it's still relevant after 33 years. Another thing you hear is that Dragon Ball is too weird, it has a lot of weird stuff and weird concepts that the mainstream audience wouldn't really click with. That is false. One, I want to say something. The mainstream audience would understand something and accept something as long as you build it within that world. That's what makes the MCU so cool, is because they built around a world in the MCU. That's why when we look at Rocket Raccoon and a tree that just goes Groot all the time, we don't think it's weird because they built a world around that and it made it believable. But now to get to Dragon Ball, right? A lot of concepts in Dragon Ball are not foreign and have been seen in other mainstream material. Let's look at Goku. The origin of Goku is super similar to Superman. Like, let's just call it what it is. If anything, in Dragon Ball Super Broly, when they changed Goku's origin around a little bit even more, they made it even more similar to Superman. Let's look at other things like Frieza, right? Frieza, one of the most popular villains in Dragon Ball. He is a lot like, well, Thanos. He is. Like, I'm not saying they're the same characters, but, you know, a galactical emperor that has a big army that goes from planet to planet, possibly like destroying it, looking for some mystical items that hold grand power like the Infinity Rings or Dragon Balls themselves. Now, obviously, when you do storytelling, you need to make the world believable in that, make these things believable in that world. So that's up to the story writers, really. But what I'm trying to say is these concepts are not foreign to a mainstream audience that are from other movies. Let's look at the Android saga, right? Trunks is someone from the future going back in the past to hopefully fix the future from like killer robots and androids. That's like Terminator, man. Like yo, these concepts are not foreign to the mainstream audience, and I think a lot of people undervalue the intelligence of the mainstream audience. Once again, that's what makes the MCU so special, because it is really weird, but they built a world around it where it makes it believable. And as long as the people head writing the Dragon Ball movie, they could definitely make the world believable, as long as it's good writers and a good director. Now, obviously, I know fans don't like to hear this, but with every adaptation, certain things need to change. For instance, Master Roshi cannot be the same character that he is in the manga and anime than in the live adaptation. That movie would get shut down super quick. But obviously, you need to change certain things when it comes to adaptation, and I know as fans we get a little bit of a gripe with that, but at the same time we do need to be understanding. I feel like at the same time, as long as it is written well, we'll be okay, right? Fans, they get mad when they change around Thanos for the MCU, because it was written well within that world, within those characters. Now, obviously, comic books are a lot different when it comes to manga, because there's different variation of characters of the same character when it comes to comic books, right? But when it comes to manga, it's pretty straightforward. It's the same character from point A to point B, while, you know, there'll be different variations of what Spider-Man could be to a Spider-Man fan. There's not really different variations of what Goku could be to someone who's a fan of Dragon Ball, and I get that. But what I'm trying to say is that when you change things for an adaptation, I feel like as fans, you know, as long as they don't really change the essence or the spirit of what makes it whole, like what makes Dragon Ball, and also that it makes sense within the story that they're telling, I feel like we should be a little bit more understanding and not necessarily let it slide, but at least give it an open chance. Now, big question is, which studio will actually make this movie, and would it be the right studio? Now, as you know, Dragon Ball is owned by Bird Studio and /Shueisha. But the thing is, 21st Century Fox, who made the Dragon Ball Evolution movie 10 years ago, I'm about to throw up in my mouth just thinking about it, they own the movie rights. Now, just how Marvel owns Spider-Man, but, you know, Sony still owns the movie rights. Well, as you know, this year, 21st Century Fox was purchased by Disney. Now, we don't know if the rights transfer over. We don't know what's in the contract clause. It could have been in the clause if the studio is purchased out or goes under. The movie rights go back to Shueisha and Bird Studio. We don't know if Disney actually still has the movie rights when they acquired 21st Century Fox. But if I had to be honest, I would like Disney to do it anyway, other than other major Hollywood studios. When you think about, like, you know, Warner Brothers or Comcast or anything, well, Comcast / Universal, I wouldn't want them touching it. I know some people have their problems with Disney. I don't love everything Disney does, but I do feel like Disney hits it out of the park more often than any other studio. That's why they make so much money in the first place. And also, I think Disney does the right job of getting the right people to make the right property, because they're gonna pay a lot of money into an investment, and that's why I'd rather Disney do it. And I know some of you guys are thinking, oh, Disney, they make it more kiddish and stuff like that. The days of watching Tien getting his arm ripped off by Nappa is long gone. If you watch Dragon Ball Super, there's not 1 inch of blood in the crazy amount of fighting that is in that anime. So, you know, Dragon Ball being gory and brutal is long gone. They don't even do that in the anime anymore. So for Disney to get the rights, and I know, I don't know, I guess it'll be like, what, PG-13 if I had to guess, but what I'm trying to say is the reason I want Disney to do it, because one, Disney has the money to throw stuff at everything because they make so much money, so they can just throw money at anything, so most likely it will get a better budget. Two, Disney has a record of getting the right people and the right actors for a movie, and they're very successful. Like I said, I like them more out of the movie studio. And at that, Disney understands diversity, right? Like Disney pushes diversity very, very hard. Whitewashing in Hollywood has been dragged into the ground, so we don't have to worry about some random white dude playing Goku. Goku will be played by a Asian actor, most likely has some Japanese descent, and most of the cast will be Asian, and maybe the director will be Asian, maybe the writer will be Asian. You know, most likely there would be not that, you know, only Asian people are a fan of Dragon Ball, but what I'm trying to say, you know, they might have some connection to it, which could be add a level of authenticity to the movie, which would probably make it much better. But yeah, man, that's the video. I'm just saying, like, you know, when fans, you know, I always get discouraged, or I don't like when Dragon Ball fans say, I don't want live adaptation of Dragon Ball, I don't want no live action Dragon Ball movie. You know, like, no, dude, like, if it could be done, let it be done. It could be amazing. It would just add one more thing to the legend that is Dragon Ball, because I love Dragon Ball and I want to see everything Dragon Ball. If there was a Dragon Ball live action movie being made, I will be the first one lining up to go watch it. But yeah, man, that was the video, guys. This is the first video on the channel. If you really do enjoy the video, hit the like button. I feel kind of weird telling you to sub because it's only like one video, but if you definitely like the video, hit the like button. Let me know down below how you feel about the possibility of a live action Dragon Ball movie. Like I said earlier in the video, there's not any news or rumors about it, but I do feel like, you know, this is the perfect plan for it to start working in motion. And at that, I feel like Dragon Ball makes way too much money for a studio not to want a cut of that check, you know what I'm saying, cut of that cheese, that cheddar. But yeah, man, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you want to sub, because this is like the first video, hit that sub button. Peace, deuces, all above.